everybody, it's Caller Take Time, and today this segment is our church segment. It's going to be all different type of topics. We're going to be focusing on the different generations. We're going to be focused on growing up in church, temptations, just everything that you can think of. We hope that you are blessed by this segment. We hope that you are saved by this segment, and that somebody out there is just touched, because you never know what each other is going through. So the first thing we want to do is get started with our introductions of these amazing people that I have with me today.
All right. Hey everybody, my name is Brandon Stenard. I am a member of the Sanctuary Kingdom Square for Bishop Anthony G. Macklin is the pastor. I'm also under affiliation with my own church, Greater First Baptist Church, which is in Washington, D.C. Senior pastor is Reverend Dr. Winston C. Ridley Jr.
Hello, my name is Jasmine Haynes. I attend Ebenezer AME for Washington, Maryland. My shepherds are Pastor Granger and Joanne Brown.
Hi everyone, my name is Anaya Henry and I attend Bible Way Church, which is located in Washington, D.C. and my covering, my shepherd, my pastor is Bishop Ronald L. Henry Jr. and First Lady LaShawn Demery.
So those are our amazing guests that we have on this panel today. The first topic that we're going to talk about is just growing up in church. We want to each tell our story of how it is just growing up and having an upbringing of church. And I know I'll start off by saying that I know it was hard growing up in church, because especially with my dad being a pastor here at Liberty the Baptist Church, it was an expectation that you had to exceed in coming to church and growing up in church. And it was hard because when you grow up in church, you never have that relationship with God, because you're just going because that's what you have to do. As a child, you have to get up and you know your routine is, I'm getting up, I'm eating breakfast, and then I'm going to Sunday school and then going to church the next day. It's no like intimacy with God, because you know at the end of the day, that's what I'm going to do. Growing up, I went to high school and everything, and everybody was like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I'm about to go to church, or I'm about to go to practice, or I'm going to choir rehearsal, and everything was church, and I never knew what church was until I had to go off to college, and I had to have my own relationship with God, because I had to get to a point and I had to realize that because my dad is a pastor, that's not going to get me into the kingdom.
Growing up in church for me, as I said, I attend Ebenezer AME for Washington, Maryland. It was a big, for me, it was like a playground. My church is very big, and we have over 100 ministries, so there was something for every single person to do. I was in dance, I was in step, I was in choir, I was in YPD, one of the youth leaders, I almost did almost everything. So there was so much to do. Another thing that I loved about growing up in church is that no matter how I was, I'm a very expressive, loud person, how I've always been. A lot of people don't like that when they first meet me, but my pastor, Pastor Joanne, she would point to me, she would dance with me, she would jam with me. So for me, if I can come to church and express who I am, I'm going to. And a lot of times, anywhere else other than church, it wasn't accepted. I was always that loud girl. That girl always got something going on. She always got this and that. But at church, it was none of that. That was the place I could go and be who I wanted to be, because that's what God had called me to be. And I agree with you. My relationship with God started in college. I love the Lord. I was here for Him. I was in church singing. But when I had to go through some trials and tribulations at college, I said, okay, Lord, what is it that you're trying to show me? What is it that you want to tell me? What is it? Basically, you want me to seek after you. I was doing it because I had to. I was doing it because I was forced to do it. Or I was doing it because I wasn't accepted anywhere else. So this was the place I was going to do it. But when I got to college, that is when I realized, okay, you're going to have to make sure that He is your foundation and He is the person that you set your standards on, because if not, you are not going to make it. And I personally got suspended my very first semester. 2 weeks in school, I got suspended for fighting. So for me, it was a big change. It was a big, reality check. I said, okay, Jazz, you're going to have to get your life together, because you didn't even make it in 2 weeks of school. You're out. You're gone. So when I got back, I was in gospel choir, did what I had to do. But anyone else?
I basically was raised in the church before I even came out of my mom's stomach, honestly. But I will say that my upbringing was kind of like a PK, honestly, because I was always in church. There was no time that I was not in church. And then I went to a Christian private school. So I had all of the principles and everything being not beat inside of me, but it was kind of more so just instilled inside of me without choice. Like I had no choice but to accept it. Um, the crazy thing that got on my nerves was that as I knew the answers in Sunday school, when the questions came about, a lot of the kids at the table called me church boy, which kind of blew me because it was like we all in church. So how am I the church boy when we all in church? But at the same time, I mean, I kind of, had a chip on my shoulder. I felt like I was the guy that always knew the answers. But it was a downside because I felt like I was the oddball out most of the times. A lot of my friends that, like I said, before we started recording, I was always seen as the guy that was different, but people did appreciate me for specific things, as in just being the guy that everybody could go to for certain things. Now, before college, it was not like that. But when I got to college, it became that way. And just like you guys, I didn't really meet or have my encounter with God until I got to college. While I was in school, I lost my father and I lost my roommate, my first roommate. It was really crazy during that time period. I knew God. I had a relationship. Like I said, I grew up with him all of my life. But meeting him and having an encounter with him didn't happen until I want to say it was during the summer months after my sophomore year, and I just got a very good job. And I prayed. I said, God, I want to be used in a way in which people will be able to receive stories and they'll glorify your name off of what I share with them. And by me praying that prayer, I started going through a path that I had no idea that I was going to go through. I got robbed at one point, and then I started going through some changes through health. It was just really crazy, but with the story of me being robbed, I was able to share a true testimony. I prayed in the middle of me getting robbed. I screamed, God help in my head, and the robber's outlet opened. Started an engine from behind me started. And the story is just crazy because he took my phone, he took my wallet, he ran up the top of the hill, told me to run. I was 10 seconds from going inside of my house. This is where I live. It was really crazy. And I get inside of my house, I run upstairs, I tell my mom what happened. She sat up and laid back down. Now I thought she lost her mind at this moment because I'm like, did you not just hear what I said? I just got robbed. And she sat back up and she apologized. This is what blew my mind. She told me, she said, I was just dreaming that you were in trouble. And that was the first time that I recognized that my mom was really like my guardian angel. She was somebody that, kept me covered while I was away from school. And the moments when I was ready to give up in school and I didn't tell her, she said that all you had to do was tell me and we could have prayed over the phone.
Growing up in church, I have not been a preacher, a pastor's kid my entire life. Initially, I was a great-grandchild pastor's kid. So my great-grandfather was a pastor, and all I knew was church. So all I knew was church, but there was a balance. I wasn't in church 25/8, but I was in church a lot. And my parents really gave me this balance. So growing up in church actually helped develop my morals and my standards. And my relationship with God, I got filled with the Holy Ghost at the age of maybe 12 or 13. So I carried that my entire life. So a lot of times when I was going through life, I was very uncomfortable in places that I should not have been. And growing up in church almost made me realize that you are different. When you were in your mother's womb, I called you. And you're trying to be in environments that I did not call you to. And it's very uncomfortable. And as long as you stay in this environment, you're going to be uncomfortable. Yeah. And God was making me so uncomfortable. And in college, I really didn't do anything crazy. It was in my relationships where I was losing God. And being in church, it was conviction sitting in the pews. Like, you know that you're supposed to be doing something and you're not. And I sat myself down. I put myself on sabbatical because I'm never going to play with God. I'm not going to get up and minister to God's people and doing what I want to do in the streets. That's not going to happen. So at the age of, I want to say 19, and I'm only 21 now, I told God yes, and whatever my yes looked like. And God made me so uncomfortable. I was going through depression, anxiety, trying to stay in a place where I should not be. And it wasn't until this year where I was laying in my bed and I was crying. I actually got the flu for the first time this year. And my mother says this is symbolic. This flu is God representing I'm taking all the toxins out your life. Wow. So I went through the flu for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And I was just so weak. And I said, God, get me out this place. I'm really going to tell you yes for real, for real. And I told God yes. And since January, I went to church. And it was like a freedom. A freedom was on my life, peace and strength. And so since January of being in church and really not even being in church, but having a relationship with Christ, God has opened up door after door after door. So growing up in church wasn't bad. It was almost like a comfortable place while you're being uncomfortable. Wow. So it was that home being away from home, basically.